Hello, and welcome to Embracing Spirituality with a Scientific Mind. My name is Diane Lynch, and I'm with Sacred Earth Science. I believe that you were probably in other workshops before you got to this one, so let's just start with being very present. I'm going to do a little meditation so that we can all be in the same place. So sit comfortably. Keep your eyes focused a yard or two in front of you. Close your eyes. Begin to follow your breath. Relax your muscles. Concentrate on keeping your spine straight. Follow your breath. Let go of everything that is in your mind. Imagine you are a pebble that was just thrown into a stream. You slide through the water effortlessly. Detached from everything, the pebble falls by the shortest distance possible, reaching the bottom, the point of perfect rest. You are like the pebble which has let itself fall into the stream, letting go of everything. Follow your breath. When you feel yourself resting like the pebble on a riverbed, you will feel relaxed. You are no longer pushed or pulled by anything. When you are feeling totally relaxed, thank your body for its work and remember this feeling throughout the day. Well, we finally made it. We're at the point where the majority of the population living within the United States believe that there is climate change. Doesn't matter what caused it, but it is happening. And we've been told by scientists that we might have 8 to 10 years to dramatically shift to have that increase of only 1.5 degrees Celsius. But how can we do this within that short of time period when we haven't been able to do it for decades before this? Einstein said no problem can be resolved by the same level of consciousness that created it. So I think that we have to create a new being on Earth, and that's an inside job. Each of us needs to be different. We need to create a new paradigm, which would be habits, thought patterns that guide our life here at home and at work. Science provides the tools and technology, and spirituality gives us vision and values, but we need to merge them. And we also need to add innate wisdom, indigenous knowledge, and a deep scientific understanding. We need to pivot. So science seeks truth in the essential nature of reality. Its goal is to understand the fundamental principles underlying the physical in all of its forms. And there have been leaders ahead of us that were both scientists and spiritual, such as Einstein, Wolfgang von Goethe, Leonardo da Vinci. Science without religion is lame. This religious experience without science is blind, said Einstein. Now, back then he was referring to doctrine, fundamentalism, etc. But when you look at it, even with spirituality, the same holds true. So science without spirituality means that we've created nuclear bombs and other weapons of war. We've created factory farms. We've created technologies that cause waste, pollution, and the destruction of nature. Spirituality also seeks truth in the essential nature of reality. It awakens our hearts. It's awakening the wisdom that we can effectively relate to each other and to the world. So it's all happening from within, and it's a result of recognition, realization, reverence. But those people who are religious and unscientifically oriented, they believe that there's only one God, and their God is the only correct one to follow. And that leads to wars, conflict, and terrorism. So how can we be transformed? Eckhart Tolle is a personal development specialist who has written a number of books, and I think he says it really well. you have a divine purpose here. It's no accident that you're doing this work. And the work that you are doing is sacred, and more than ever, it's needed right now. But you need to be in the right position to do it in the way that it needs to be done. So let's take a closer look at that science piece. Energy. Everything is energy. Everything is connected through energy, and it vibrates. So there's waves and particles in constant motion, and so are we. Everything is vibrating. So the truth of who you are is that you're an abundant, flowing fountain of youth. And if you don't feel that you are, there's something that's stopping that from happening. Because once that block is removed, you will have a clear mind and happiness, and you will feel that you are on the top of the world. Our body interprets vibrations through our five senses, our ears, our eyes, etc. The vibrations are at different frequencies. We interpret the vibrations through our emotions as well. So why does it matter that we interpret them through our emotions? Because we have repetitive thoughts that cause neural pathways in our brains. So we have neurons connected by dendrites that are based on habits and behaviors. So the more dendrites, the more we have a certain frequency of behavior. Those neural pathways underlie how we think and we act, but they can be changed. So I will tell you a little bit about how to do that, so you don't have to keep going down the same old rabbit holes you've gone through your entire life. So remember, 95% of our thoughts are repetitive. We all have very important work to do, and we need to be operating at a high frequency. So the higher the frequency, the more creative, perceptive, and intuitive we are. So as you can see in this diagram, that's when you're up at joy and at appreciation and at love. And the lower levels of vibration, with the ones that we want to stay away from, are depression, it's fear, it's anger. We need to pivot for our new paradigm to work. So we have a voice in our head, and it complains and it judges, it dislikes. Why? Well, because we've been conditioned that way. It's based on our past history. It's based upon the culture that we've lived in. It's based upon what we have done. We tend to have 80% of those thoughts negative, and 95% of them are repetitive. But it only takes 17 seconds to start including a new vibration into your thinking, 68 seconds to start forming a new belief. So we do have the ability to change what it is that we're living in our life, because your life is based upon what you believe and what you're thinking. So now let's look at spirituality. It's important that we learn how to access our inner wisdom, our inner knowing. How do we know that we're on the right path? One of the ways is to be looking at the different beliefs that we have. So the first belief is in a higher power. So it doesn't matter what you call it. There is something that breathes you. There is something that has created life. What is it that caused the flower seed to bloom and the tiny embryo to become a human being? It is something bigger than each of us. And then there's the belief that all is connected. Indigenous people around the world might have different beliefs and different ways of life. However, they all believe that everything is connected. Doug Goodfeather wrote a beautiful book called Think Indigenous. And he said that all of us, if we search back to our ancestral origins, we would find that there is heritage and wisdom that's deeply rooted in the spiritual ways of ancient Europe, Africa, North and South America. So we have that indigenous upbringing as well. However, it wasn't something that we continued using. The knowledge that we gained, we didn't continue using as do Indigenous people around the world. So we need to do a new paradigm. We need to create a new paradigm, as I indicated, science and spirituality. So how do we do that new paradigm? The new paradigm relies on intuition, and everyone has access to intuition. It's truth above all things. It's what it is that your soul knows, and it aligns with us and gives us insight so that we can have extraordinary lives. So our first pivot is sharpening your intuition. We have intuition that goes beyond the five senses, and it picks up on the vibrations of others. When we were children, we were very intuitive. We probably knew more than the adults knew because we were open to that knowing. Now as adults, when we go into a meeting, we will be picking up the vibrations of other people in that meeting. We might already know before anybody says anything to us that there's been a discord, that people are fighting, that people are angry with each other. It's something that we just know, and we can be more effective in using that knowing more often than we have been used to doing it. The pivot number 2 is managing your breath. Now, breath is not simply for holding when you're scared or panting when you're feeling upset or you're anxious. Breath is that way to unite your body and your mind, and it opens you up to your wisdom. So when your thoughts are scattered, all you have to do is start counting your breaths. When you are counting your breaths, you can simply not think of anything else. And so that will bring your dispersed mind back to you. Pivot number 3 is becoming more mindful. Thich Nhat Hanh was a Buddhist priest that focused a lot of his work on mindfulness. And he talked about breath being used to master and restore ourselves, and that we should be conscious of each breath, every moment, thought, and feeling. So when we are focused on our breath, when we're focused on anything that we're doing, we're using our best judgment. So we need to be present in the moment so that we are not multitasking, which women like myself love to do, that we are really focused on doing what we're doing at the moment. There's a sutra of mindfulness, which means that when you're walking, be conscious that you're walking. When you're sitting, be conscious you're sitting. When you're lying down, be conscious and in direct mindfulness of your body. Pivot number 4 is meditate. So meditation is a way to integrate your body and your mind and your spirit and bring you back to your source, because you really cannot listen to your soul, your spirit, in any other way except when you are quiet. So meditation daily for at least 20 minutes really opens you up to that wisdom that is inside of you. Many people feel that they can't meditate because their mind is so active. And as I talked earlier, 60,000 thoughts a day, of course it's active. But you can recognize that those are thoughts, but be an observer. So stand back, recognize your thoughts. So observe the thought. Oh yeah, that's that thought again. Don't try to push it away, because what we resist persists. Just notice it and keep on focusing on your breaths. So studies have shown that the beneficial areas of the brain become expanded when we regularly meditate. And in fact, those other areas that are associated with anxiety, fear, and stress, the amygdala, actually get smaller. Pivot number 5 is don't believe everything you think. So this one was one that was hard for me to wrap my arms around, because I've always thought that what I think, of course, is true, but that's not true. And just because I have the thought doesn't mean it's true. So because it's based on perceptions, memory, what other people have told me. Freedom is a realization that you are not your thoughts. There's a Zen master, Chu, who said, if you want to know your own mind, there is only one way. You have to observe it, recognize everything, and do it continually. That will get you to a higher level of conscious. So in closing, as Howard Thurman said, don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and then go do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. So thank you for being in this workshop with me today.